That is absolutely incredible. That is quality. Look at the moisture there. There we are. Look at that. Pork tenderloin, Marbella made. Absolutely phenomenal. Look at that for a plate. That is incredible. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today we are cooking chicken Marbella, but no chicken, we're using pork. Using pork tenderloin. Chicken Marbella is so famous in America and it spread across the world. It came into being in 1982 from a book, The Silver Palate. And the Silver Palate was a food shop in New York. Now the authors of the book, Julee, Rosso and Sheila Lukins, introduced bold flavours into American cuisine which wasn't there. It was in communities, but home cooks everywhere grasped this recipe to make chicken Marbella, and chicken Marbella is world famous from this book and that food shop. The authors cracked it. It went everywhere. Everybody wanted to make it. It was at dinner parties everywhere. Restaurants, home cooks, you name it. Everybody knew about chicken Marbella. So from 1982, everybody made chicken Marbella, but it slowly evolved in other meats into the Marbella. We are making it with pork tenderloin. So that's the history lesson. Pork tenderloin. I've got 2 pork tenderloins here, and I have just taken off the silver skin and tidied them up a little bit. That's all. Now these are going in this bag because the first part of this job is a marinade. And we want to keep it as simple as possible. Now, marinade, you should marinate for 4 hours or overnight. That is entirely up to you, whatever time span you have. Now the marinade can't be any simpler. It really is easy. Now in here, in our pork, we're going to put in about half a cup of olive oil. And you can put more in if you want, that's up to you. And we're going to use this to cook. So everything that goes in here, we are going to use when we cook this pork. I'm going to use sea salt for this one. Nothing special, just regular sea salt. Will that stand up on there? No. Yes. A little bit of sea salt. Now this is our seasoning. You can season it again afterwards if you want, but we want to season it into the marinade. I want some pepper. So we get some pepper in there. We want a couple of tablespoons of dry oregano. Want about half a cup of red wine vinegar. Now this is a fantastic recipe. We want some garlic. We want about 6 cloves of garlic actually. It's quite garlicky. Now if you don't like garlic, obviously you don't put it in. Now I'm going to just give these a little bashing and a little run over with a knife. Now we're not going to run it over and mince it all up. We're just going to leave it in there, you know, little chunks of garlic in there. It'll do its job just fine. So just a quick little run over there. That will do for me. And then we're going in our bag. We want about a cup of prunes. So that's about a handful. Something like that. Now these are pitted prunes. And they are delicious. Now, again, you could just throw those in there. But I don't see the point when you're making a marinade. We want to get some of that flavour out of those prunes into there. So we're going to give those a little push down like that. Not all of them, just some of them. We're just going to release that open a little bit. Now people don't do this, people just chuck them in. But you know, a little second to do this, it's going to release something into that marinade. Okay, so we've got some of those like that. That goes in our bag. And put those in. We'll give it all a shake around in a minute. Now we want about a cup of green olives. That's about a cup. Now again, what I'm going to do with some of these, let's just drain some of that water that's come out of there. Now what I'm going to do with some of these, we are just going to half them. Half them, now by halving them, that's going to help release some of that olive flavour into our dish. So put the whole ones in. And we want some of that in there. Capers. Oof. Now we want a little bit of caper juice. So we'll do that. And we want about half a cup of capers. Some of these I'm going to give a mash in, just to release into that dish. It's an optional step this, you don't have to do it. Now that little bit of juice in there with those capers. So seal up your bag, and that is it. That is a bag full of fantastic marinade right there. And that is it. All that mix around our pork. So that is our bag full of marinated pork. Now refrigerate 4 hours or overnight. I'm not going to refrigerate, I'm just telling you the safest way you can put it into refrigerate. I'm going to leave that on the side for 4 hours, not a problem whatsoever. It's in a sealed bag, it's got our marinade in there, and then we're going to cook it straight away. So that's just staying on the side. The reason why I'm leaving it on the side for the 4 hours, I don't want the pork to go too cold in the fridge, and then we cook it in the oven and we have to build up a temperature inside the pork. Let's just get on and cook it. Okay, there you go, job done. Next bit to this recipe can't be any easier. Make sure you've got your oven on. We're going to bang the oven on and we're going to put it on. I'm putting this on at 160, which is about 320F. Now oven at home 175, 380, somewhere around about there. Now the recipe doesn't get any easier. We tip this in there, in it goes. Okay, we need to be taking some wine. Ooh. Now we want about half a cup of wine or something like that. I'm going to put about that much. Because we're going to use all the juices, so what do we have? We had about a cup. This is good South African for this. Any wine will do. Right, we want a couple of bay leaves in there. Now we're not going to go too big. The bay leaf just goes in the sauce or in that wine we've just put in there. And we want some brown sugar. It's going to sweeten this up. Don't forget there's a lot of sour elements in here. You know, the capers and everything. So we want a little bit of brown sugar and just over the top of our pork. A little bit like that, and then a little bit into the sauce. You need to be cooking this, it cooks for about 30 minutes, that's all. And we're cooking it whole because we're going to slice it afterwards into big medallions. Now I'm using a thermometer, which I always use for something like this. I can walk away and I know it's cooked. Now the pork tenderloin, we've got the whole loin, so it's shaped and tapers down. So this bit is going to be really cooked. This bit is going to be perfectly cooked. That's how it is, you know. We're going to stick it in the oven. Now I want the internal temperature of this about 64, 63, 64, which is about 145, somewhere around about there. Now I am using a thermometer. You don't have to use a thermometer, and this is not a paper motion, but you know, these things are fantastic. That is going in there into the main part of our tenderloin, and we shove that in the oven. And then what happens with this, this is going to come up to, I've set it to 64. I'm going to take this out of the way, and this alarm will ring at 64. It will bleep at 64 and flash. I know that's perfectly cooked. I don't have to do any work. I don't have to watch anything. I walk away and leave it. Worth having. Okay, let's get that in there. There we go, we got it cooked. All we got to do now is get it out of the oven. And there we have it. And we've still got 15 minutes to go. That drops right into the spec of how you would cook this. Now, whatever you do not touch these. This whole thing that's been in the oven is absolutely boiling. So that is one perfectly cooked tenderloin. Now we're just going to give it a little minute, let it set up a little minute, and then we're going to cut it into medallions. And then we'll serve it up and give it a taste test. Okay, we're not going to give it too long, it's at about 5 minutes. Let's just cut through this tenderloin and show you how perfectly cooked this is. Now we're going to cut down like that on an angle. And don't forget, these are the ends which will be more cooked than the middle piece. And if we just come in there, you can see that that is moist. It's beautiful. It's cooked perfectly. Oh, come on, look at that. That is absolutely incredible. That is quality. Look at the moisture there. So all we have to do is serve that up. That is real quality. Look at that. Just look at that, perfect cooked meat. That is superb. Right, all we got to do now is spoon over some of our sauce. So we want some of that in the middle of there. There we are, look at that. Pork tenderloin Marbella made. Absolutely phenomenal. Look at that for a plate. That is incredible. Wow. Let's give it a taste. Look at that. That is a fantastic centerpiece dish right there. That's going on the table in a minute with some mashed potatoes and some veg. But there you go. Just look at that. Look how incredibly moist that pork is. This is a butter knife, look, not even a sharp edge. We're going to have to come in here. We've got to give it the taste test. Let's wreck the presentation. Oh, let's come in here. I'm going to taste the pork. Come on, no comparison. Those prunes, oh man. The prunes have taken on all the flavour. They've got their own taste of prune, which is sweet, but they've taken on the sourness from the capers and everything. They've got the wine in there, and you could taste the oregano, everything. Oh, incredible. Salty, slightly sour, sweet. Oh, it's got everything. It's incredible. Oh, a bit of pork, prune, an olive. Oh, let's go the whole hog. That really is incredible. That's a fantastic recipe. All came from 1982. Come out of New York, gone all over. Okay, it's been in American cuisine now for a few years. Delicious. Well worth making. If you like what we're doing, don't forget, give it the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell. We'll catch you in the next video. And I want to get dug in, but I've got to put it on the table. Oh, I'm going to have another piece. Oh, come on. Oh. Okay, enough.